So as the dust settles on opening night in Group F, not the picture we thought we'd see. Portland, top of the group with 3 points. Houston and LAFC, 1 apiece. The Galaxy, rock bottom. Let's bring in Herculez Gomez from LA, who was watching both these games closely. Herc, this wasn't the LA story we thought we'd be talking about at this point. This was supposed to be those two teams' group.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if it's supposed to be, because going into this, the moment Carlos Vela drops out, you say, well, this is a completely different LAFC. But it's the same defensive problems for LAFC that we saw in the first leg of Leon. It's a brand new back line, a brand new goalkeeper. There are going to be these kinks you have to work out. And when you don't have a player like Vela, and we'll get into that much later, your shift is going to, the shift is going to be completely different. The focus will be completely different. The way you go about things, they're still a very dynamic team. But I think teams have figured out, if you play this counter-attacking style the way that Seattle played against them in last year's playoff, in last year's Western Conference Final, you could have a lot of success with the open spaces that they will afford you. Those fullbacks love to push up and down the field, and when they do that, they leave these center backs high and dry. So it's a lot of defensive issues for LAFC. I think LA Galaxy, maybe it's a little different, because we expected them to be a better team, right, Adrian?
Yep.
We've always said, Zlatan not being here, you're going to miss the goals, but they'll be better for it defensively. Well, 2 seasons, 52 goals, and the same defensive blunders. It's Ayoa and the end line with Sebastian Blanco lets him go by. Then it's Gonzalez in the 50-50 challenge. It's these infantile mistakes that they keep on making, and you have to wonder if they really are better for it with no Zlatan. Certainly, you're not going to get the productivity of a Zlatan Ibrahimovic, so that's very concerning.
For the Galaxy, Herc, Chicharito, yes, he scored, but that was pretty much the end of the good news. He has held his hands up, actually, in the Spanish media today, saying, hey, this one was on me. I missed the penalty. He missed a bad penalty, didn't he? And he's taken responsibility for the defeat.
Yeah, let me start off by saying I'm not worried that he had such a bad night in front of goal, because he had opportunities for goal. As a 9, Yo is here. Don't freak out if you're missing chances. Freak out when you don't have these chances. The first 2 games, he had 0 shots on target. Last night, he could have had a hat trick. He missed a penalty kick. And by the way, it's about time that Chicharito himself and maybe somebody around him says, maybe you shouldn't take penalty kicks anymore. His 22 penalty kicks that he's taken in his career, he's missed 10. There's this famous scene that keeps replaying in my mind. I believe it's 2015 Champions League with Manchester United. And I believe it was against, what club was it? Club Brugge, maybe?
Yeah.
And he misses a penalty kick. Yeah, he misses a penalty kick, and the look of Van Gaal and the look of Ryan Giggs, his assistant coach, where they look at each other like, what is going on? And he publicly crushes him to the press. That's Chicharito Hernandez right there in a nutshell when it comes to taking penalty kicks. But I'm not worried. I think getting the monkey off his back with the first goal is a very positive thing. Vintage Chicharito in the box, that off-the-ball movement, the ability to get around a defender, to make space, to create space, to finish that near-post run. That's going to be his bread and butter. And he almost pulled off another vintage Chicharito goal, that header that he hits with the back of his head, a la Stoke a few years ago when he was Manchester United. He's got these things about him. But if you expect the productivity of a Zlatan Ibrahimovic, if you're expecting 52 goals in 2 seasons, you're grossly mistaken.
What about LAFC, Herc? You talked about their defensive ineptitude, their rather worrying habit of shipping 3 goals a game. Well, how about, though, the first evidence of how they're going to be without Carlos Vela? Can they win this tournament without Carlos Vela?
Carlos Vela is 34 goals, 15 assists, but he's so much more than just the numbers. When he's on the field, the focal point for a defensive tactic for the team or the opponent is much different. You key in on what he is, how he can facilitate others, the attention that he generates. So to not have a player of that caliber, it completely changes the way your team plays. And I know Bob Bradley and many at LAFC would love to argue with me on this, but it's evident. It's evident in their play. Carlos Vela single-handedly took over the second leg of Leon in that CONCACAF Champions League tournament. He's a difference maker within the field. So if you don't have that type of player, obviously your team will be different. They still have some playmakers. They have a very dynamic attack. Diego Rossi is one of my breakout players for this tournament, but I don't know if he will be enough. I don't know if collectively they can overcome the not having a Carlos Vela. Surely defensively, Eddie Segura and Djakovic still have a lot of issues. Palacio on one side, even Vermeer, the goalkeeper, I don't know how sure he will be. I think we saw a lot of maybe things that were being papered over with Carlos Vela's play. A lot of cracks in that system. I don't think they are the favorites. I'm very surprised that the odds maker in Las Vegas had LAFC as the favorites heading into this tournament. I think we're seeing what life is for LAFC without Carlos Vela, and it's not that pretty.
And El Tráfico to come on Saturday. So Group B looking like this. Chicago sitting pretty with their opening day victory. San Jose and Seattle with a point apiece. Seattle, though, have played twice. Vancouver still yet to play in the tournament. Herculez Gomez still with us. You know, the joke is Seattle have always been traditionally slow starters when it comes to MLS seasons, but that's in a 34-game season. They played twice out of 3 games. They have 1 point. Are they in trouble?
Yeah, they're in trouble because this type of format doesn't give them the luxury of starting off slow and then picking up come summertime like they always do and being a serious contender. I'm worried for this central pairing, this central defense. I know we could say that about a lot of Major League Soccer teams where you're a little skeptical of what they can provide, but Arriaga, I think his only performance that he's had with the Seattle Sounders that you can really hang your hat on was last year in the Western Conference Final where he was big time versus LAFC. Other than that, I'm really worried about the mental mistakes. I'm worried about how he can do at this level. Gomez Andrade has shown flashes at times, but that pairing has a lot of work to do. And look, Brian Schmetzer and his men, for all the experience they have in the world, for as good as they can be going forward with the likes of Nico Lodeiro, Raul Ruidiaz, Jordan Morris, who came on and had a fantastic assist. For all those good things, you can't start off slow. Their destiny is no longer in their hands. They don't have the luxury of, we said, this long regular season where they can afford these losses or these missed points and make up for it. They are in trouble, and this is not what you want to see if you're a Seattle Sounder fan. It's the same old story. For whatever reason, and you just mentioned it, they always start off slow.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.